0.1 Bitcoin, and at the market, I'm going to sell. So the total amount is not changed, but my balance has been changed, right? So this is the margin trading. Oh, sorry. One more thing that you have to enable before you start trading is auto lend. What's auto lend? So the auto lend function allows you to automatically lend your asset and make you earn some interest on them. And also, lending mechanism of Backpack is quite amazing, and that is one of the factors that make Backpack the most capital efficient crypto exchange in the world. You know why? Because you get to earn interest on two things. One is the profit that you're making from your perpetual tradings at the rate of USD lending. Now, let's say lend, and now the interest rate that you lend is 6.82%, which is quite a lot, right? So you get to earn 6.82% on your profit. Another great thing is that when you take a perpetual leverage positions, you put collateral and you take, let's say, buy Bitcoin, right? But this is not the end of the conversation. You also get to earn interest on your collateral. Other exchanges don't have this system, so whatever you put in the Backpack's account, you're going to make most out of it. To take advantage of this auto lend system, you have to enable auto lend. Where can I do that? Now let me explain to you. From this lend tab, we're going to go here, this mark, click it, and margin preference, and you can enable auto lend from here. And now it's done. Even if you're in future or let's say spot, we have this mark, so you can click here. We can enable auto lend or we can enable auto lend anytime you want. Let's keep enabled, okay? Okay, now we have learned all the basic trading functions on Backpack. And I guess this section is the most important part of this video. And what I'm going to show you now is delta neutral. And delta neutral is a very common trading strategy among professional traders. However, the concept is very, very easy. So what's the benefit of delta neutral strategy? Why professional traders still doing delta neutral? So for example, if you're lending your stablecoin on Backpack, maybe you're the one who wants to do this because delta neutral is taking so low risk to generate more yield than lending USD. So let me explain what the delta neutral is. So how to construct the delta neutral strategy is long Bitcoin and short the same amount of Bitcoin on perpetuals. So that means you're not going to be exposed to any of the risk from the Bitcoin price action. However, the risk that you're facing is fluctuation of the funding rates of the perpetuals. Okay, so before going into too much details, let's just try first, okay? I'm going to buy now Bitcoin on spot, let's say 0.01. I'm going to show you like right away buying Bitcoin. So I'm going to use the market order, 0.01 Bitcoin, just buy, right? And I see 0.01 roughly a Bitcoin in my portfolio. Original amount of this portfolio is about 2,000, okay? And then now we're going to futures. And I'm going to sell the same amount of Bitcoin, 0.01 Bitcoin. And again, I'm going to sell it at the market and sell it, right? And now it's executed. So let's make sure what the position is at this moment. So now I have 0.01 roughly Bitcoin and also check the position and BTC perpetuals. I sold 0.01 Bitcoin. So roughly same amount of Bitcoin was sold as perpetuals. So that means I am not going to be exposed to any of the risk from Bitcoin price movement. So even if the price is going up or down, I'm not going to lose or make money from Bitcoin price action, right? So what's happening here is that I'm going to receive funding rates of these perpetual positions. Generally speaking, if the market is stable, funding rates that I can receive by shorting Bitcoin is about 10% annually. However, at this moment, the funding rate is negative, annually 5% roughly. So that means if this condition keeps going on, I have to pay 5% annually on this perpetual position. However, as the market stabilizes, this rate is going to be back to 10% annually. So I'm not really worried about this negative funding rate at this moment, but this is the current situation. And let me show you one more thing. And on the balance, we are still having roughly 825 US dollar. And this is going to be lent out, and you're going to generate about 5% on this USD. You see what's happening? So originally I was having 2,000 US dollar, right? And I bought roughly 0.01 Bitcoin, and I took the position on perpetuals, right? Roughly the same amount of this Bitcoin. However, in my portfolio, I still have US dollar of 825. You see what it means? What's happening? Normally, if you trade on other exchanges, if you take a perpetual positions, this US dollar is not going to remain in your portfolio and generating yield. This is not possible on other exchange. This is only possible on Backpack. So that means what I'm earning is I'm earning from funding rate of this perpetual delta neutral position. But at the same time, I'm going to earn some yield from this collaterals. This is really the beauty of Backpack margin system. Again, if you do this on other exchange, you're not going to get this USD earning 5% yield. However, on Backpack, you're going to make about 5% on this 825 US dollar. In total, you're going to earn roughly over 7% on the original capital of 2,000 US dollars. This 2% extra yield is massive. Let's check how significant it is. Let's say you have 10,000 US dollars. 10,000 US dollars. I'm going to calculate this on my mobile. And you're going to earn 2%. That means annually 200 US dollars. This is really big difference, right? Let's say you have 10,000 US dollar on your pocket and you're going to do this delta neutral strategy, maybe on other exchange or maybe on Backpack, but the difference is going to be annually 200 US dollars. Let's say you have 100,000 US dollars, the difference is going to be 2,000 US dollar. Let's say you have $1 million US dollar, the difference is going to be 20,000 US dollar. I don't know how much is sitting on your bank account, but 2% is really massive. This is not a financial advice, but this is a magic moment. And I'm going to now show you other examples of by utilizing other functions. Okay, now we're going back to margin trading. How can I use the margin trading function to make money, right? Again, this is not a financial advice. I'm not going to tell anyone or recommend anyone to do any trade based off of these videos, okay? This is not a financial advice at all. But I want to show you how to use margin trading or what kind of situation we can use margin trading. It's actually quite useful when funding rate is negative. Let's see if there's any negative funding rates. Not much. There's a one barrel, but we have to have a spot also trading to do the margin trading. So not really applicable at this moment, but let's assume Bitcoin has quite a big negative funding rate. Negative funding rate meaning if you do long on futures, perpetuals on Bitcoin, you get to earn interest. If funding rate is positive, if you long, you have to pay interest, but if you short it, you get to receive interest every 8 hours. So let's assume this funding rate of Bitcoin is negative. And if we get to long on Bitcoin, we're going to earn interest on this, right? Somehow I want to hedge this long exposure. Then I can hedge with margin trading. And to show you how to use this strategy, I'm going to flat out all the Bitcoin, meaning I sold every Bitcoin that I have in my account, and I just have, like this, USD in my account. So I'm going to start from flat position, just USD. So we're going to do two things. Sell Bitcoin on margin and also buy Bitcoin on perpetuals, okay? So whichever you can start from, but let's say I'm going to buy Bitcoin future of 0.01. We buy, okay, at the market. I don't like buy Bitcoin at market at this time, but to just show you, I'm just going to do it, okay? So I'm going to buy 0.01 Bitcoin, and now I have a Bitcoin long position, 0.01 Bitcoin. And now what I'm going to do is going to spot and sell 0.01 Bitcoin on margin. Okay, now the order is executed. Let's check the positions now. And my balance is changed. Now my USD is about 3,200. We started from about 2,000, right? So I sold Bitcoin on margin. So I sold more cash, but Bitcoin is negative, which is about 0.01 Bitcoin. And at the same time, on perpetuals, I'm long on Bitcoin about 0.01. And even if Bitcoin is moving up or down, my exposure is almost zero because I'm long and short on Bitcoin. I don't really get any effect on the price movement of Bitcoin. However, I'm supposed to earn money on this funding. We're assuming the funding rate of Bitcoin is negative, right? So every 8 hours, I was supposed to be earning a lot of interest on this. However, at the same time, I have to pay the interest rate of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin borrowing rate is 0.48, which is super small, right? So as long as I can earn more interest than borrowing Bitcoin, this trade is win. At the same time, I have more cash here. I have more cash, and on those cash, I'm going to make 6.84%. So as long as borrowing cost of this time, Bitcoin is lower than the funding rate, this trade is quite safe and I can make money. This is one example of how to use margin trading on Backpack Exchange. And this is not possible on most of the other exchanges because you do not get to earn interest on your collaterals, right? And also other DEX exchanges, they do not have a spot, so you do not have an option to do the margin trading. So this is quite a